General Hospital. Carly Corinthos had faced countless crises over the years, but nothing prepared her for the strange chain of events unfolding around Port Charles. It began with a series of anonymous messages that appeared on her phone, each one hinting that someone from the past had quietly returned to town. At first, Carly dismissed the warnings as another attempt to rattle her nerves. After everything she had survived, she wasn't about to let mysterious texts control her decisions. Still, something about the messages felt different. They contained details that very few people could have known. Whoever was behind them seemed to understand her family, her friendships, and even the difficult choices she had made over the years. As the days passed, the mystery only deepened. Jocelyn began noticing unfamiliar faces around town. At first, they seemed like ordinary strangers passing through Port Charles, but they always appeared in the same places she visited: a coffee shop, the Metro Court lobby, the university campus. Every encounter left her with the unsettling feeling that someone was carefully watching from a distance. When Jocelyn mentioned it to Carly, mother and daughter tried to convince themselves there was a reasonable explanation, but neither could ignore the growing sense that someone was quietly orchestrating events behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Anna started investigating an unrelated case involving stolen medical records. The evidence pointed toward an unknown individual using multiple identities to gain access to confidential information. Although the investigation seemed disconnected from Carly's concerns, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that both mysteries shared a common thread. Elsewhere in Port Charles, Jason noticed unusual financial transactions tied to several abandoned properties around town. None of them seemed important on their own, but together they formed a suspicious pattern. Someone had been quietly purchasing locations that offered perfect places to observe the city's busiest neighborhoods without attracting attention. Jason immediately informed Carly. Instead of panicking, Carly decided to investigate carefully. She refused to let fear dictate her next move. Working together with Jason, Anna, Dante, and Spinelli, they began tracing every clue back to its source. Their search led them to an old warehouse that had remained empty for years. Inside, they found surveillance equipment, photographs, and detailed files documenting the routines of several Port Charles residents. Carly was stunned. Whoever created this operation had spent months collecting information without anyone noticing. Yet one photograph stood apart from the rest. It showed a man who looked almost identical to someone Nathan had once known. The resemblance was remarkable. For a brief moment, Carly wondered if the impossible could somehow be true. But Anna quickly reminded everyone that appearances could be deceiving. In Port Charles, mistaken identities, disguises, and elaborate deception had caused chaos before. Rather than jumping to conclusions, the group focused on gathering evidence. As more pieces came together, they discovered the mysterious man wasn't interested in revenge alone. His true goal appeared to be manipulating old rivalries by making longtime friends question one another's loyalty. Rumors spread quickly throughout Port Charles. Some believed the stranger was connected to an international organization. Others insisted he was simply a skilled con artist exploiting the town's complicated history. Every theory sounded convincing, yet none explained how he possessed such detailed knowledge of so many families. Carly refused to let speculation distract her. She met privately with Jason, Anna, Dante, and Spinelli, asking each of them to examine the mystery from a different angle. Their combined experience revealed something unexpected. The stranger had intentionally planted misleading clues. Every false lead encouraged people to suspect someone they already knew, instead of searching for the real mastermind.
That realization changed everything. Instead of reacting emotionally, Carly encouraged everyone to compare facts rather than assumptions. Slowly, the illusion began falling apart. Spinelli uncovered encrypted communications connecting the operation to a larger network that specialized in identity fraud and psychological manipulation. The objective wasn't violence, it was confusion. By convincing trusted friends to doubt one another, the organization could achieve its goals without drawing attention. Jason and Dante coordinated efforts to locate the group's remaining members, while Anna continued following the digital evidence. At the same time, Jocelyn refused to remain on the sidelines. Inspired by Carly's determination, she carefully reviewed every unusual encounter she had experienced during the previous weeks. One overlooked detail suddenly stood out. The same distinctive ring had appeared on two different men who supposedly had no connection to each other. That tiny observation provided investigators with exactly the breakthrough they needed. The evidence eventually led authorities to the organization's local coordinator, whose carefully constructed operation quickly unraveled once the deception was exposed. Although many questions remained unanswered, Port Charles finally began returning to normal. For Carly, the experience served as another reminder that truth often hides beneath layers of carefully crafted lies. The people who cared about one another succeeded because they relied on trust instead of fear. Jocelyn emerged from the ordeal stronger and more confident than ever, recognizing that courage isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about continuing to search for the truth, even when every answer seems uncertain. As life slowly settled back into its familiar rhythm, one final mystery remained. Among the recovered evidence was an unopened envelope addressed only to Carly. No return address, no explanation, just her name written across the front. She stared at it for several long moments before carefully reaching for the seal, knowing that whatever waited inside might open the door to an entirely new chapter in Port Charles. Sometimes the greatest mysteries don't end with the final clue. Sometimes they begin there. If you enjoyed this fictional General Hospital-inspired story, be sure to like the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more creative Port Charles-inspired adventures and dramatic what-if stories.